Okay, welcome back. I've cleaned my brushes and I'm ready to do the roses again. This time we'll do them a little bit different. This time a little bit different background. So, and you can still see, even after taking that little bit of a break, this one is still wet. And so it is even when you set up the palette like I did for you today and, just mix in as extender, you still get, so that took an hour to paint that one. And I took a 30-minute break forced my hands to have a cup of coffee. So that's been an hour and a half or so, at least with the acrylics like that, just from just mixing in the extender with it. So, they do have an extended drying time. If you use enough stuff with it, if you use enough extender with it, you shouldn't have a problem. Let's paint some other roses. Let's do the more, I love to call these my chunky roses. They have a little more body to them, and we'll paint them a little bit more round, not as open as that other one was there. Let's just go right back up onto our background here, exactly the same thing. And I'll put sometimes I put extender on the surface, sometimes I don't. On these little boards like this, and when you're first starting out like this, I'll put a little bit onto the surface, and that is because you have a tendency not to, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, because I same way, you have a tendency not to use enough of it. And so we'll make sure we have enough just by putting some on. Not so much that you get puddles. See that right there? You can see there's no puddles on it. It's just a real light coating of it onto the surface. Color-wise, let's stick mostly to our lighter colors here, our lights and our light yellows here. Let's take a little bit of our brown color, which is 2 parts of our red, a little bit of our black here, and that'll make our beautiful brown that we use a lot in the painting. I might as well just kind of brush mix up quite a bit more of that there. That's our beautiful brown. And we'll take some of our yellow down here, okay, and our whites here. And this is the kind of color that I used into to originally base coat the background here. But I'm going to now model it up. So it's going to be modeled on my brush here. So I'm going to model it up a little bit more here. And I don't worry, because I'm going to put some greens and some yellows and whites into it. And we'll just kind of just model this up. Boom. So this has a little bit to the reddish time, to the warm side there. We'll get a little more yellow up there. I want to get a little more yellow in there. There we go. And model that up. If your color starts to get too heavy, you just take your paper towel and you wipe it off. I mean, as you're finding your colors. But I do like to have some of these colors going on in there. And these will all be real pretty. I'm kind of watching all of them so that we can set them all together. They'll all be real pretty setting together on a wall set, which is very popular right now in today's decoration. It's really kind of funny. I like to say that, like today's decoration, but you never know what's going to happen, how long these DVDs are going to be around, because we were re-editing one of our soft stroke floral DVDs just a couple years ago that I shot over 20 years ago, and I'm saying all this stuff, this is really good in fashion and stuff today, and I'm like, no, it isn't. So it was kind of like, you never know how long some of these DVDs are going to run for, or where this is into the future, whether or not what I'm saying is still going to be hold true in another 20 years. But it's just kind of fun. Anyway, so I'm going to take some of my color here. Let me just move this over this side. I should be over this side a little bit. I just took a little blue and a little yellow and some of my stuff and created kind of a greenish color here. I love that green kind of ties us together here and with the other colors, so I'll put some of that in. And then the other color that I just love that, just modeled. I love these backgrounds, which is so funny because, as an artist, you through the years, and I've been painting, 35 years, like I said, and it started out as a hobby for many, many years, and then it just became a career. But I started out, with my mother, and my mother used to always say, when I put something on, I'd get all this background, I'd get it absolutely perfect. My mother, Josania, and I'd get it all absolutely perfect, and she'd come over there and she'd say, "Oh, let's sand, or let's put a little bit of this. Let's get some more movement into your background, get some interest." I'm like, "No, I just got it perfect. You can't do that." And I remember those days now. It was just like, well, sometimes your mom is right. So that does happen. So, but yeah, it's as I become more mature as an artist, and I'm looking at different things. Yeah, there's some of the things she used to say just come back to me as, yeah, I remember her saying that, and I remember not doing it, and now I'm doing it. So it does. Let's go back. I'm trying to convince that to my daughter now, she's now third generation painter. I'm trying to convince to her that Dad does know best on some of this stuff, but she doesn't. She is a very independent artist, and that's the way I wanted her always to be, as an independent artist. But sometimes dads are right. So Jessica, sometimes dads are right. So anyway, it's just fun. It's fun being in three family generations of painters, and then you watch how you change over all the years. So I got a little bit of yellow. It's kind of hard to pick up just a little bit more yellow, and then some of my greens and my colors down through there. Those will look very pretty coming up against some of these other colors, I think, because see, this is pulling some of the colors of the rose. So if you're doing a set, you can move some of the other colors of the flowers. So this one will move and work very nice with those two. But one color that I do have common throughout everything that I should add into here is a little bit of my violet. So I'll take a little bit of my violet here. And we'll just toss it even up into here and some of my yellows just to soften that just a bit. And let's just add a little bit of that here into this background. Oh, that is pretty. I never thought I'd hear myself saying, "Ooh, red violet, that's pretty." But look at what I'm wearing. Well, I didn't buy this smock. My wife bought me this smock. But, it's, again, there's another one of those things that as you change, I never thought I would be one that would use a lot of red violet. But, oh, that violet in there is kind of pretty. And it will pull some of the other violet-y type of colors that we have in some of the other paintings, some of those other red violets out. So that's cool. Alrighty, we might even want to put just a touch, since we got a yellowish kind of tone here, just a touch of the purpley tones into the cool areas, which is a little bit of blue right into that. We'll get more of our purpley tones, and we might want to just toss a little bit of that down in here. And since these are very cool, this will go down towards our shadowing side here. That'll be very pretty as we develop our flowers. So as you see, I'm painting this for you. I'm painting these flowers for the very first time with you. I haven't painted these before. I'm painting with it and developing the colors with you as I go. I think you learn the most when I do that. You can see my thought processes and how I'm going through it. Here I'm tying these four together, so I'm kind of looking for colors together. If you are putting these into your home, you do the same thing. You say, okay, I'm going to put it into this room. Well, maybe it's going to go against a wall. Like say, for example, the wall that's behind me. It's kind of a olive drab. I call it's the army wall, but a lot of paintings just really pop off of it. But I would put some of that color maybe in on the shadow side of your white flowers, and then those tie that white flowers right to that wall. And if that becomes a common color, that's the way the artist can make a painting that go with a room very, very well. There's different philosophies for that, and I teach a lot of that in the color theory series, but some of the philosophies that you have is that you can either break paintings away from the wall or you can harmonize them with the wall. But I always think that it's best to harmonize them with the wall, because I'm one who doesn't like a tremendous amount of contrast. But I like to harmonize them with them. So I'll look at, okay, what's the color of the wall, or something that's close to it, and I'll put a little as an accent, maybe some of the leaves as an accent, because then those paintings go beautifully into the room because they pick up some of the colors of the room, but yet they have enough power, enough separate color, like the whites and the yellows and the violets, that pop them away from those, away from the room and give them their own identity. So that's kind of important as well. Okay, so we have those down there like that, those colors. Let's just set that brush. We'll pop a little extender into that brush, set it down here off to the side, and that'll be good for tomorrow's painting. And so now we'll come in and we'll do some flowers here. Now, let's say this time we pointed the other one the other way, up over this way. Let's point this one this way. We'll take kind of a brownish color or dirty color somewhere in here that I can just kind of do some sketching with. We'll just model up some of our colors just so I can do some sketching with it. I want, you know, your rose is a circle, right? And so we're going to circle this one up just a little bit more so it doesn't open up quite as much. We'll round that one up just a bit more. And maybe with this one, we'll do two smaller like bud shapes here. I think might be kind of fun with it. One sitting out here, one sitting out coming down this way here. Those might be kind of fun to do more rosebud shapes with that. One here, one here. That's good. So here will come my rose shape. So I have the idea of my roses, and we have the idea that our stems will come down through here. That's good. They'll come out just real casual down through there like that. Now we'll take our cool color. We'll take our red violet right down in here. We'll cool that. Let's just set up our warms and our reds. I have some warm color sitting there, so we have our warms and our cools going here. Okay, and we'll take our red violet, our cool, nice cool color here, and we'll come right here into the center. And see, I just wiggle and push, and I'm just going to let that color run right into the background as I come up, and I'm opening up the flower there. Just like this, opening up the flower. Let's just open this up. Man, I love to paint. This is a different flower than I've ever done before, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the colors and things that I have here. But I'm following that same technique. That cool deep goes down in. You wiggle it up and around. I'm trying not to copy anything. I'm just saying, the whole thing you got to remember here, short, choppy little strokes. Remember, inside here is the youngest of your petals. So short, choppy little strokes like this, and just let it come up and up and up like that. Okay, and then we'll take the cool and we'll put the shadowy part down here. Here will be the outline of our reaching petals, our outside petals. Some people call them the teacup, the saucer petals. Here, I like to use the reaching. They're reaching out away from the bowl. So I'll put my shadow down through here for the bottom of the bowl. So what I've done is divided up into my three circles. Here's my three circles. Here's the one circle, two circle, and three circle here. And then you can use your finger to push, like we did before, to push your rose into its rounding shape. Remember, it's got to get its rounding shape here, so you can see its rounding shape here. Okay? Out in here, it's got to have this reaching shape. These petals going in and out like this. So you can start to see the shape of your rose here. Now you don't want to have it absolutely perfectly round, so we'll take some of that off. And I can develop some more shadow. I want to develop some more shadow here. Maybe off over into this side here. So I'll develop a little more deeper shadow here. A little more color. Deeper color shadow side. That's just what I decided to do this time. Here and out like that. Here we go, and soften this up a bit. Doesn't have to be perfect yet, but you can start to see the rose starting to form through. The most important thing is right up in here is this bowl, that these petals start to form here. We'll get some shadow. We can even cool down and shadow down this side of the rose. Let this stay very cool. So see how I'm working my brush many different ways. I'm just painting it, I'm sketching it, painting it. And I use my finger a lot when I paint like that. I use my finger as well, painting like this. Boom, just like that. Here we go. See that nice, deep, darker shadow here we'll pull down, and that we'll try to preserve that and keep that as long in the painting as possible. Sometimes they disappear as you keep working and working and working, but we'll try that. And so if this has got a nice light to dark down through here, you're inside for it to work with the flower as well. The inside of the flower here should have that same impression of light to dark. So we need to deepen our bowl shadow on this side. So it looks, because that's what's going to happen with the flowers. If it's going on one side, it's going to go on the other side there too. So what we'll do is we'll just lightly take our finger here and back out just a little bit of the shadow here on this side. And so we'll push into the center a light to dark, and into this side of the flower a light to dark. And then we can push in and out here with our finger to give a little bit of those growth lines, the movement lines of those petals. There we go. And sometimes you need to clean those fingers. You don't forget to wipe off those fingers as you're grabbing those other colors. Let me just grab a second here and grab an extra paper towel here. Set that one on top. Okay, now you have to decide, okay, do I want to have any warmth on it? You know, we added the yellow and stuff before. I think I will do that again. I'll add the yellow. But another color that's really, really pretty, especially with these, you know, I want to do kind of a white rose, but a color that's really pretty with the whites is the greens. And the greens, of course, are your Hansa yellow and the teeniest, tiniest little bit of your blue, and you'll see you'll get that green really fast. You'll head over to that yellow green really, really fast. The yellow greens are beautiful with the combination, because this one is warmer than this and these two together, and they give a beautiful combination here for a white. And you can check it all on your palette. This would be your rose. Isn't that a pretty combination there for, you know, into a white rose? It's a real pretty one, and I think it will be very pretty on this painting here. So let's just take some of our yellow green here, cool it with just a bit of that, but just more of the yellow green, and let's drop in some yellow green in on this side of the rose here. See how I just model that up on the brush, sometimes more yellow. Let's just drop a little bit into here and let it just mix in just a bit as we come down here. So what this is establishing the cool side of the rose. This yellow green is my warmer color, so I'll keep it up here to the front of the rose here. And we'll get that in there. So we'll get that nice modeling of some of those yellow greens in there. Okay. And just a bit more of that blue, yellow, green, red, violet. And if you really want it to stay warm, you keep that naphthol red in it, and it'll stay very, very warm up here for that warm side, that's kind of nice and pretty. Now we'll take up our, like we've done before, pick up that gigantic dollop of this nice thick white. And a lot of people say, how thick do you like your colors? Well, you can see how thick I like my whites. I like my whites almost as thick as toothpaste when I go to paint these flowers. My other colors, I like them to be a little bit thin. Matter of fact, if you order pre-globalized colors, I like them really kind of thin. And if you want them to thicken up, you can just leave them out on your palette a little bit, and they thicken up quite fast. But I like it a little bit thin, but the white I like thick. So then I will take my brush, and I will model my brush up like this, and then I just slide like that, and I pick up that little bead of white. That's the white that I use to draw the petals. Now you remember what we did in the last rose, is that these petals that are out here are your juvenile petals. They're ones that are about halfway. These are your small ones on the inside. So when you look inside a rose, when you look in a rose, you're going to have your smaller petals inside. You're going to have your medium-sized juvenile petals here, and then the full adult, larger ones to the outside out here. Okay, so when you draw these out here, you want to think, okay, these are medium-sized petals, and I just pick up that little edge of white right here like this, and I'll be a little softer on this shadow side here, and draw those in there like that. If I'm working inside the rose, I'll pick up just a little bit here, and my petals will stay a little softer or a little smaller inside the rose here. So inside, and as I come out of that center, they can start getting a little bit bigger. So that's the kind of stuff that you think about when you're painting those. And sometimes I will, to create movement inside the petals here, I will just pull down just a bit to create some movement for inside center petals. Just like we did before, we will come in here, we will tap, and we will pick up some of our light color, and when we just pull down, and if I'm putting more of the smushy little rose I'm doing now, is that I tend to paint like this, pushing up and back and forth like this, as opposed to stroking. So with the last rose, we did a lot of stroking. If I want to paint a softer rose, I'll do a lot of striking a color like this, and then I'll push the color around with this soft little brush, just a little bit of pressure on the brush. But I'll push the brush, I'll push it around. And again, the whole secret of this whole thing is the quality of these colors are heavy pigmented colors. They're heavy pigmented colors, and so you can do this very, very easy. And this little soft brush, this whole technique is designed for this colors and this brush working together. That's why I use just very simple, just a few brushes in the entire painting thing, because this is all you really, the entire painting series, this is all you need is these 6 colors and this brush. Now I just hit that shadow there. I can lift it out with my finger, or I can lift it out this way right here like that, and then just restrike the light color across there like that. And I'm constantly wiping my brush. I never clean my brush. These are acrylics, but you don't see any water around. I never use any water in my painting when I paint like this. And I'll strike the color, and I'll just wiggle this down like this and create that next row of petals there and down. And if I want, I can lift this color. Now I can lift my shadow back up like this into that rose. And this is what I love about these, what's different between this other rose that I just did and like this one that's right here, that is very much like the stroke, like this one we just finished, and this one that's right here that I show right here, is I allow this pushing up underneath, and so I give a little bit of a different effect to that. So I will like drop on a petal, like even I drop on a petal there and drop one on here, and I'll pull down just a little bit with some of this chunky color, and then I'll lift the shadow back up off like this. So, and I'll play this back and forth, just a little, wiping my brush. If I come in there like this and I pull down, now I've hit shadow there. If I want to come again, I'll put shadow up there. So I have to just wipe my brush just to remove that shadow if I don't want that shadow to appear every time. Otherwise, you'll constantly be dragging shadow around everywhere. So here we'll just drop out some petals here and pull down here. And I can lift that shadow right back up into that again and reshape that petal to where I want that petal to be shaped. And I want to have another little petal right out here like this. So I just push in and just grab that little edge of white. I'll drop that little edge of white on there like that. Wipe my brush, and I can just wiggle this and shape this in to that petal becomes part of this rose here. And again, it's just kind of pushing that rose, a little different shape there. I want to build the front of this one up a bit more, so I'm going to strike a little heavier white here and then just pull that down here. Let's just pull it right on down to this whole thing, and we'll lift that shadow back up into that again here, and we'll use just that edge to say here's the other petal right in there like that. That's kind of pretty. And you look at different ones to see different ways. And let's come out here and we'll drop one in there like that. One coming out like this. Here's these guys coming out like that, there like that. This one I kind of feel like it's going to pull down, so maybe I will actually add a few streaks kind of curving down just a bit here first and work that just a bit like that, and just get that motion of it kind of curving down here like this. See that motion of it curving? We'll set this one up so that it's curving down. That'll be kind of pretty in this flower. This one will set the motion of it coming slightly up. So your angle of your brush, the angle at which you do your brush or you pull your finger, will determine the shape or the movement of this particular petal. So we'll do that. Now I might want to restate a little more shadow in there. So I'll take a little thin color, a little extender in that too, and just reshape restate a shadow right in there, and let's just wiggle that in here. There we go. Just around like that. Push that shadow in there. And so you get all this little chunky movement and stuff around as you get into these flowers. Those are kind of nice. But I want this one kind of curved down here like that. Let's warm this up a bit too. A little more green and yellow right in there. And I like chunky. So I put on a lot of that white, and I'll just use my finger there. So this type of rose is a little different than that stroke one we did. Well, I leave the colors here this time very chunky. Here. There we go. Just kind of draw these out and around. And a little, see, just use that edge. Just kind of skip it and then just kind of imagine this rose, this petals turning that way. I'm looking for movement within the petals. I'm not using my brush for, say, highlight as much as I am for movement. Little edges. Remember what we did with the little daisies and stuff, or the little blossoms, the first one. You can use your brush as little edges here. So just like we did in the first DVD with the little blossoms, how I showed you how to make little edges, petal edges, you do the same type of thing there. For that one. Here. That's kind of neat. And we'll push back and forth a bit there. Get some of that movement into that. I love those kinds of flowers, that kind of pushing back and forth there. It's very different. Now we'll just take a little soft little violet here. And we'll just add a little movement, violet movement out here on this side of the rose. Keep that very, very soft. Here, that's a very different looking rose when you use this type of pushing technique than what the other one is that we did with the stroking type of technique. Now I can come in here and add like the idea or the feeling of other little petals in there just by using the little chisel like that, just like we did on the other one, just by picking up a little corner of that white and just using that to chisel things. So you can add additional looks or additional petals here. We'll add one more like right there. That'll help that rounding feeling of that petal there. And let's reach out one more little bit out here as well. And that's a pretty rose, pretty shape to that flower. It's a different shape to that flower. Let's go in and let's run through this guy out here. Now, same type of thing. We'll do more of a bud, so we'll keep this more oval, so our flower will be more oval. And I just love to, if I'm going to do a lot of this chunky painting, just to use my finger. You don't have to worry. Everything in this paint line, everything is completely non-toxic. As in the, like I said before, this is even the extender that I'm using here, the real solvents that we use in our line. Unlike the oils, the solvents that you use in this line is used in the food industry, preparation of food. So everything is completely, totally non-toxic. You don't have to worry anything about it. So don't worry about getting this on your hands or getting this around, And if you have really, really long fingernails and beautiful manicure and all that kind of stuff, then this is not the technique for you, because you're going to get if you don't like getting it onto your hands, this is not the technique for you, because your hands, artists for hundreds of years have been using their hands to help get the casual look to their brush, because it gives different types of edges. And I love that. And acrylic painters haven't really been able to do that, because we've never been able to keep the real wet edge to the paint that the oil painters have. But then the oil painters, like when I was an oil painter for 10 years, and the oil painters, we had a problem because of all the solvents and everything we use. You don't want to get your hands into those oils. Like I had a terrible health problem with oils after painting for 10 years, and I had to get away from them. But now we have this beautiful stuff here that we can do both, and we can get our hands into this and create some of these beautiful casual looks with our combinations of our hands and the edges, using the edges of our brush, that we haven't been able to do for a long time, and not have to worry about any toxicity at all. So, thank goodness for, technology and new generation acrylics that takes us into a whole new way of being able to paint again. I love them. So I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow green here and warmer yellow green, and we'll create just a little bit of warmth here to these little blossoms or these little buds that we want to do here. So we'll just create a little warm side to them, excuse me, and a little shadow here. We'll kind of swirl this together just a bit, and for our bud. And a good botanical, if you want to paint a good botanicals will have the buds and the juveniles and the full adult flowers in them. So, maybe we'll open this one up just a little more than that other one. But a good botanical painting will have that, the stages of the flowers, and so maybe we'll do that just a little bit more here. And we'll just cool this down. And again, we have a shadow side, so red-violet down through here. And just push that around. Let's get some of that red-violet down to this side. Push that around. And sometimes I use, I'm right-handed, but sometimes I do a lot of my painting with my left hand as well. Because especially if you're like me, I'm a left-brain, logical, analytical painter. I'm a chemist. That's my training. That's what we do. We do formulas. And so I'm very logical and analytical. And so I use my other hand to break that completely, to think the other direction. So think the other way. So anyway, it's quite... it's good to use both hands, doing both things. So here I'm going to set up a little bit of a bud shape. Inside of the bud shape, like I said with the last time we did a bud, it's a little bit more of an oval shape inside. So we'll just kind of create a look of a little soft oval here to the bud here. Now we want to keep these edges soft if we want it to disappear behind this one here. So I'm going to just take my brush and just kind of smoosh it around here. To move the color around, we want to just create a little bit of movement here without creating a tremendous amount of interest that's going to raise this bud up in front of this other rose here. So we'll stay very soft and just kind of move it around like this. Okay. And then we'll close this. Let's close this one up a bit here. So we'll grab these petals. Instead of coming out and reaching out a little bit, we can reach one out here. Here we'll reach one out. They will close down just a bit here. So we'll draw that on and just push this around and push this up. Get that movement, pushing that up here. You notice I strike it on and I'll move it in a combination of both my hands and fingers to get that bud into that shape that I want. The bud's going to kind of curve like this, because you got to imagine it's starting out this way and slowly opening up. So you're bringing a petal here that's slowly opening up here. And let's just grab a little bit of white up here in the front. And see, I can grab this and still sneak in there and push in and up there to grab that light color right up there in the front where I want it. And let's just smush this around. So this is a little different. See how I use my brush, just kind of pushing and smushing it around into this thick paint. I do this a lot in Paint It Simply, in a lot of the different techniques. You'll see me push around, and I will push around to create the model and then stroke it around where I need to create some of that movement interest here. And the movement to the petals, that's how you create that. And we'll drop, let's see if we're going to make this one come out. Let's make it swirl, let's make it swoop a little bit. And what I mean by swoop is we'll just curve this in like this, and so it looks like it's just opening up here. Just swooping it just a bit. So you curve it slightly, and it'll swoop a little bit. And it'll give it a little different look. There we go. So this one is just beginning to open up a little bit more. Nice transparent. See how that gives it nice little transparent edges? Now, like before, if we want to get really super transparent edges to our flowers, we put the green down. Like before, what I said here, if you want to make your petals more transparent, you can put your green, your leaves down. Here I won't do that this time. We'll keep this a little bit more chunky, but you can refer to the other one, and you can use some of those techniques we showed in the other one to help you get transparency and stuff if that's what you want to do. You're the artist now. You control the look that you want to do on your particular painting. I'm just here to show you some of the techniques. So here I'll just build up with the light and smoosh it down. I can lift my shadow back up anywhere that I want to create the look that I want to have here. And I want this just a bit softer. Here, just a nice soft flower, swooping flower there. And we'll just drop that in there. So this one's just beginning, so it's going to have just a few more layers than this one, and then not as many as that one there. So that's what I'm doing here. But I still like to keep this casual striking of the color here. Pulling down just a bit, striking of the color, and pulling and pushing and getting that movement. I could reset some shadow in there and stuff, but I kind of like the softness of that where that one is, so I don't think I will do that. Here we go. Kind of like that, just beginning to start to open up a bit here, just like that. It's kind of a nice one. Now I'm going to take, we're going to work with greens for a little bit. So we'll get some of our yellows and our blues. And this is the most important thing. Is this, some of the other palettes, like I talked about, and some of you that have this also have DVD, the 1050, which is the color working of the Paint It Simply, where I paint some more roses with you and stuff, but I show you some of the different reasons why we have some of the different greens. Well, one of the things that we have is you can make a benchmark green, and in the mixes you'll see that there's a base green that you can make that is really nice, and then you take the base green, you add more yellow over here to make it more yellow green, and you add more blue over here to make it more blue green. All the base green does is gives you a shortcut. I love the toned yellows, but I love the brush mix yellows, adding the red violet if I want it cool, and adding the naphtha red light over here if I want this green toned and a warmer color. So I can get a warmer green and a cooler green very easy, and so I can control my palette. So this is one reason why I love to brush mix, and I love to model up my colors and get some a little warm over here, some a little cool. If I know I'm heading to the cool side over here, I'm going to get some of this in. And these greens over here would work really well with this painting because this painting has so much red violet into it. I know these greens will work very well because this green has a lot of red violet in it. And maybe I take a little bit more red violet, maybe some of this lovely brown color here. Just a little bit of black into that with this brown, just a bit of this other green there. And I'll use that as a nice deep shadow. Got to be careful, Dave, not to get that too dark over there. That's the shadow side. But a little shadow over there with those leaves would be nice. Here. And just get again, we'll do a more casual leaf with this one. We'll do a more casual leaf with this one, not the painted leaves we did with the last one. So you'll see both views of it here. That'll be good for you. So we'll do a casual leaf here like we did with the daisies. We'll do a casual leaf here. But if you want to do the more structured leaves like we did with the last rose, you can certainly do that. But here, I love the casual painting of the leaves when they're going up with this very casual rose. So I have this real cool color over here. It's my yellows, my blue and my yellows with my yellow greens. And you see, I'm constantly brush mixing and modeling. This creates this interest, this modeling interest through your colors. Here, this is what gives the beauty to the to the painting, because all of these will have slightly different coloring in it, and it just looks wonderful. If I want to really pop more contrast in there, I'll get some more cool. Let's even grab just a bit of our blue in there, create a nice cool deeper color, and that will create the contrast that we talk about, that I told you about in that last one. You create that center of interest contrast if you want to do that in a painting. So you do that with going up against this warm color here. You can just drop that in. It's called negative painting in the techniques. We call that negative painting. Using the background to soften up some of this. To create some of the edges, and it creates more contrast. Now I'm going to take just a little extender over here. I'm going to grab this and just thin out some of my color here, so that my color is very, very thin. And I'll just use this to just lightly sketch some of the leaf shapes coming off on this side of the flower here. We can add just a few other little colors here, but we want to keep this I'm going to keep the leaves, the expressions of the leaves, very casual on this particular painting. Here, maybe a little bit of light here with this one here to this side. But overall, very soft and casual here. And just because this will, again, look at the variations as I'm going up to the lighter, warmer now, yellow greens. This is my warmer side up here. This is my warmer side up here. So I'm warming. There's a new word for it. Yeah, I'm warming the this side of the leaves here. Okay, heading up this way. Cool side down through here. Warm side up to my warms, up to my naphtha red light, up into my warm sides up here. Boom, right up here. And let's drop in a warmer leaf right up here, and you'll see the difference in it. See the difference between the warm and the cool leaves here. Okay, we'll drop a little bit of our cool color. Let's drop a little, and you'll see the difference here. See, drop a little of that cool color right in there, just as a shadow on that guy here. But let's not do too much of that. Let's get right, because we want to keep these leaves simple. So we'll just get right into some of our warm light color right up here. Leave just a little bit of that cool color right in there like that. But we can push out a little bit of it for the idea of a vein line. Just keep this very, very, very casual painting. I love this one. This one came out good. And we'll give the idea, let's cool this down. Let's give the idea, model this and cool this down, and of even like the little sepals or calyx here of that little rose. Here. Boom, like that. And younger rose leaves and stuff are more towards the orange side. You can even drop a few of those right here down onto this side if you wanted. Here. Just kind of pop some of those out. Here, that's kind of nice. That's a little heavy. That's a little distracting. So we just go, we just incorporate that right into the background and put a few softer ones out there. I made that mistake so I can show you how to correct it. Okay, so we'll just add a few more little light touches, a few more little light, warm, little movements out away from our design. This helps lighten up and airy up your design. Do you have it? Boom, here. And boom, we'll go like this. Let's just, let's lighten and warm that just a bit more. Let's get a little more yellow green, a little bit of our warm red into that. Warm that up just a bit more. Tap in. Let's just grab just a bit more of that in there. That's better. So it definitely gives me my nice light warm side to my painting and my cooler side. So you see, temperature is with the Painted Simply, it is so easy to paint temperature in the painting with that real cool color and that real warm color. And this works in all colors. You don't need to, like I say, you don't need to add tons of it. Just a little bit will help cool it and warm it in perception of some of your other flowers. So there you have a nice little painting there, and following right along with our other ones, we have that'll go very nice with our other roses we have here, that are daisies that we did earlier here. So we have our daisies, and then our first blossoms that I did when I taught you the first blossoms that you have there. And so those will sit really nice. My idea is to kind of set these up as a nice little wall set here on your on a room. Frame them all the same frame and set them up as a nice little wall set for different types of flowers and stuff. So there you go. There's your beginning. A little bit of beginning techniques for the Painted Simply. Just some nice casual painting, and some very, very simple brush techniques we use. The Painted Simply is all built around just these 6 colors. I mean, this is what we use. These 6 colors here. You can do hundreds and hundreds of paintings. As like I said earlier, I did 450 paintings last year with just the 6 colors. You can do so many different things with them, and use just a couple of brushes. And what we do is now it's the new generation higher quality acrylics that allows you to do this. And like I said, if you are going to try this with these techniques with a different type of acrylic, you're just wasting your time. I've had so many students write me and say they can't do it with this, and I say I know, because I've painted for years with all of those other brands, and I've tried for years to paint like this, and I can't. Now we were able to develop, because of new technology and the way in which we can put powdered pigments. These have the powdered pigments in it, the ground pigments in it, just like the oil paints. Now we're able to paint with oil techniques, with new generation modern acrylics, and I can use these types of oil techniques and paint these beautiful effects like I always wanted to. And you can use your hands without ever having to worry about a single thing. No health issues whatsoever. So I painted all of these with 2 brushes and 6 colors, and I've done hundreds of them. And you can have fun, and you paint it simply. We keep everything simple, okay? Lots and lots and lots of lessons for you on our website. You can go visit Jansen Art Studio, and you can jansenartstudio.com, and you can see lots of our porthole to all of our different websites. We have free lessons on adp-tv.com. That's our TV show. We have, of course, paintedsimply.com. All of this can be purchased on our store at jansenartstore.com. All of our lessons. We have downloadable books. If you live in different countries, we have lots of lessons. We have in the Painted Simply, we have right now at this time, over 300 lessons in the Painted Simply program, from seascapes, landscapes, still lifes, florals, you name it, we paint it, and we paint it very simply. Thanks for joining me today, and thanks for watching this DVD, and I'll see you here at the Jansen Art Studio, painting it simply in the future, and I'll look forward to that, okay? Have a good painting day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.